That's it.
This show is revolutionizing sports television, and it all starts now.
Dan Patrick is sports in America.
LeBron James for MVP storyline picked up a little speed. I thought I was sitting alone on the bus for that for a while, but after LeBron led the Lakers past the Pelicans last night, New Orleans head coach Alvin Gentry said it's a no-brainer. LeBron is MVP. Here is the Pelicans head coach.
I'm just amazed that they talk about anybody other than him for MVP. You know, that's what he does. Every team that he's been to, every team that he's gone, have a chance to win the championship. So, you know, to me, I'm not sure what the definition of MVP is, but he makes everybody on his team better, and it makes it difficult for everybody.
Most people think the Greek Freak is the favorite now, and I certainly understand that. But the debate implies something negative about one of the players, and that's always the danger when you get into this topic, where people in Milwaukee think I'm disparaging the Greek Freak. I'm not. I said he might be the best player in the game. I think LeBron is the most valuable player in the game. And you're going to say, well, what's the difference there? There are a lot of guys who are talented, and I know they're going to win 70 games, but understand this part of the equation. When you vote on this, the people in the media voting are looking for a story. You know, Harden could have won the MVP prior to him winning the MVP. Russell Westbrook could have won it a second time. But they had written that story. And then the Greek Freak came along. They've written that story. Now you can go, LeBron hadn't won the MVP since 2012, 2013. What a great story. Hey, at his age, he's leading the league in assists. Hey, he's doing it without Anthony Davis on some nights here. It's the story that goes along with it. Now, you have to have the stats that go along with that, but the story is LeBron James. And I think it's fun to see all of these younger players, and there's so much excitement in the league. You know, if the Lakers and Pelicans could play 3 times a week, there would be no ratings issues. But, you know, the Bucks are chasing history. The Lakers trying to hold on to the number 1 seed in the West, and it's a brutal Western Conference right now. I'm not saying the Lakers win 70 in the East, but I think it might be a little easier sledding there. LeBron James, with what I've seen, I've said it from the outset, it's a better story. He has the numbers to back it up, and at his age, he has 3 full seasons on his body. So he's, 35? He's 38. He's got 239 postseason games. What he's doing is unprecedented. I like the analogy. Somebody said, well, he's become the modern-day John Stockton in Karl Malone's body. And you think about it. He's passing, but then I do think that he has load management. Now, he plays most games, unlike Kawhi. His load management is the following. I think I'm going to ratchet this up tonight. You know, national TV, Zion. Let me put up some decent numbers here. And it feels like getting up for those games or, doing even more for those games. And then no Anthony Davis, so he had to do that. But last night, it was fun to see Zion Williamson again. He's the first teenager in NBA history to score at least 35 points while shooting 75% or better from the floor. And he had 35 last night. He was 12 of 16. And he doesn't have a signature move yet, which is amazing. Because if you look at some of these rookies who came in, Michael Jordan averaged 28 a game when he came in. David Robinson averaged 24. Walter Davis, 24. Bernard King, 24. Zion Williamson is averaging 24 points per game. So he would be up there amongst the all-time rookies as far as their scoring averages in a rookie season. Jordan at the time was a highlight film. People didn't know that Michael was that great. He hit the big shot to win a national title, but, you just heard about Jordan's athleticism. You didn't know that he was going to be able to be this good doing this many things because the big joke was, the one guy who could hold Jordan down was Dean Smith because of the way he played or that style at North Carolina. David Robinson, 7-footer. Walter Davis was as smooth as anybody, hence the nickname Greyhound. And Bernard King had a signature move as well. But watching Zion, it's just power, just raw power. And if you let him get the ball at the foul line, he's either going left or right, and he's taking it to you. But there was an interesting moment after the game. JaVale McGee asked for Zion's jersey. JaVale McGee is a veteran. He's been around a long time. But I'm watching that and I'm going, wow, okay. And I don't get into this, Larry Bird never would have done that or Magic Johnson. Hey, I get it. Soccer created all of this. Like, soccer has been doing this for a long time. And then all of a sudden, basketball players, football players, I'm okay with it. It's not the end of the world. People are like, JaVale McGee, you can't let him know that you got a weakness there. Like, yeah, the weakness was playing against Zion Williamson. If I'm JaVale McGee, maybe I can be nice to Zion. But the 80s are over. The 90s are over. This is just different. It feels like there's a collaborative effort in the NBA. But LeBron James, with what he did last night, that was fun to see. Fun to see again. And to watch Zion do it, it's no fluke. He doesn't have a jump shot. He just has raw power here. And you saw that on display again last night.
What are the odds you have coronavirus?
I don't believe I have that. I have some stomach issues relating to an antibiotic that I'm taking. And,
oh no. Is that me or Tyler?
Hey. Can't take credit this time.
See.
This is going to really ruin the rest of the day now.
Hopefully not.
This is that hot drama we're looking for.
Oh, Dylan. Woo. Tyler.
Hot drama.
That's not good.
People always ask what goes on behind the scenes here.
Yeah, I guess the bat's still intact, but yeah, Tyler, he knocked this over.
Oh my God!
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! We're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Alamir Dawes down by one with 3 seconds. Dawes to the basket. Gets the goal! Tigers by one. Ray, 3/4 court, no good. Clemson's a giant killer again, partner.
Clemson takes down number 6 Florida. Clemson's now defeated 3 top 7 teams in one season. First time since 1979. Beat Duke and Louisville earlier this season. By the way, a little Smooth with Santana featuring Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas, a South Carolina native. I met him at LaGuardia Airport coming back from the Super Bowl.
When was this?
When I came back from the Super Bowl.
Which year?
This year.
Oh.
And he was at baggage claim. And I saw him and I didn't want to go bother him. And then he came up to me and he goes, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was on a Howard Stern roundtable with you. And I go, I remember. I said, how are you, Rob? And he goes, good. Everything's going great. Matchbox 20 is 2020 or whatever it is. They're going back out on tour. And I said, oh, great. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. But we were on a super fan roundtable with Natalie Maines was on that.
Love Natalie Maines.
Yeah, but I don't think she thought that I was a true fan of Howard Stern.
Did she think you were kind of a poser?
Poser, yeah. But I just wasn't going to show off. I'm older than her. I've been listening to Stern since '86, so I didn't want to play that card with her, but it felt like I had to. Jeff Probst was there from Survivor. And Matt Berry, the fantasy guy from ESPN, was there. It was fun. But, we did the round table. Number one story, number one headline coming out of the Combine is what for you?
Unfortunately, because I don't know that there's anything altogether new, but, I'm having breakfast with somebody very prominent in the league on Thursday, and I said, give me your stories this week. And he goes, Tom Brady is the domino that's paralyzing the entire NFL. And until people know what happens there, look at how many people are being held hostage, from Derek Carr to Bill Belichick to, there's 30 really big people in the NFL who their lives are going to be affected an awful lot by whatever Tom Brady chooses to do and whatever teams choose to go after him. Now, there are some teams that are out there who are, quote, in the Tom Brady hunt, end quote, that I'm not Sure.
If I take a running back in the first round, I'm using him up those 5 years, and then that's it. Even with the Cowboys, I wouldn't have re-signed Ezekiel Elliott. I would have found somebody else with that offensive line. The Titans with what they have with Derrick Henry. Do you re-sign him? Do you think he stays with Tennessee?
Well, Dan, that is a great question. The guess, and look, one of the reasons why Tennessee has a huge vested interest in which way this contract goes. For people who don't know this, right now an NFL team could tag, a couple of free agents here in the last year of this current CBA. But if there's a new CBA, you can only use one tag per year. So if this passes, they've got Jack Conklin, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill, and they can only tag one. So I think, this is a tough call. If you're in on Tom Brady, in my opinion, you've got to tag Derrick Henry.
Was there a guy who really helped his draft stock at the Combine?
I don't know how much more that Isaiah Simmons could do because most people already thought he was a top 10 pick. But just in terms of impressive people and players at the Combine, I would say that Isaiah Simmons was number one because, I had a coach who said Isaiah Simmons right now could walk into his training camp, he thinks, and play safety, any linebacker spot, or even slot corner. And so that would be the most amazingly diverse, it'd be like the modern-day version of Troy Brown in New England. He can play so many places. And then I think the other guy was Jonathan Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin. Although Jalen Hurts, by the way, had a great night on Thursday, I now think he's an absolutely solid third-round pick. A lot of people love Jalen Hurts as a leader, and they really want him on their team. But I think they were concerned about how he throws the deep ball because he really has not had to throw a lot of deep balls.
So 34-35.
Yes.
And it was put up as 34-35, not 35-34.
Oh, I got it. It probably could have been based on home and away.
Home and away.
I think I got it.
I was going to go Zion with 35 last night.
Zion Williamson had 35 points.
Okay, and 34?
Since he knew it, I'll let him reveal it.
LeBron James last night.
That's what I just
No, you guys are totally wrong. That's Giannis's number and LeBron's age, right?
Yeah, too.
I don't know why.
No, I said LeBron
All right, so you
and
win.
Zion, and then you go,
You
no,
said
it's
Zion. You didn't say LeBron.
Right,
Sorry,
you said
technicality.
You were thinking it. I don't think you got it
You
out.
didn't
Sorry.
say-
because he cut me off. You
But
immediately.
he didn't give the second score. He just
You
said-
are.
No.
I'm on Team Todd.
No, because you
He
immediately
whispered to
said,
me the right answer.
hey.
You just said one of them.
Yeah.
You said, so Zion 35, but you never said what 34.
And then you go, then you said no. And then I thought,
I
okay.
thought after you guessed Zion, you were backed out and you just wanted to guess one sided score.
Todd, I don't miss on
Was
this.
there any double
Well,
meaning
how
with
I would-
LeBron being 35 years old or no?
No, I just wanted to go with the...
LeBron, who's 35, had 34 points.
Yes, it could have been all LeBron.
Yeah, told you.
Yeah, told you, Todd.
Make it a far too complicated.
Jim, thanks for joining us. I thought of you when this Tony Romo story hit because I figured you would have some inside knowledge about this, about what it means to the business and what's it mean for other analysts at other networks here. So where do you want to start with Tony Romo's contract?
Well, look, I think there are a lot of people saying, of course, he was going to stay, and I don't think you need a triple-digit IQ to figure that out. It was always going to be CBS was in a really tough position if they lost him because they're trying to do everything they can to hold on to that Sunday afternoon schedule, particularly after Les Moonves left the company. You have to remember that Les was a huge advantage for CBS because of the relationship he had with Robert Kraft and a lot of owners in the league. It was always, if you remember when Thursday Night Football came up, CBS won that right out of the gate, and I think a lot of that credit has to go to Les. So they were in a tough position. They knew that ESPN in particular wanted Romo, and what they did was they threw out a huge number before ESPN could even throw out a bid. I don't think, I really don't believe that ESPN would have gone as high as CBS did. And I believe the real number is more like 17.7 because there's a lot of private travel involved.
What about their team, their Monday night team with Booger McFarland and Joe Tessitore? Do you think they keep that team?
How about those Knicks? No, I think it's I think it's tough. I think it's tough. There's been a lot of learning curves, both inside the truck and with the team, and some of it is, you can't really point your finger at one particular person or whatever. But I think that there's a lot of momentum inside for a change. But again, there's some really interesting, talented people out there, but there's not an abundance. And so if you're and that's one of the reasons why I think Romo's people had such an advantage, because it's definitely a buyer's market.
Does an announcer mean that much, make that much of a difference?
Yeah, so that's the ultimate question, right? I mean, look, if there's a CBS game on 2 years from now and it's a great matchup, are people going to be saying, if they hadn't signed Romo, they'd be saying, we're not going to watch because of Romo? I don't think so, but I think it adds to the entire patina of the network. I think it's one of those things that I believe sometimes an announcer and an announcing team can keep people engaged on a game that maybe is already over. I think there are some advertisers who believe that. They certainly believe that with Madden and Summerall, because you're just kind of hanging out with them then, and people did that with Tony. And it was like, somebody the other day, David Beckham said the other day that he never left a Lakers game early, even if it was a blowout, as long as Kobe was on the court. And I think that not in a dramatic way, and it's not a direct comparison, but I think there are people that really, really enjoy Tony Romo, and they love watching him predict things, and they like the way that he analyzes things, and so it's hanging out with somebody, and it does give it a finish. It does give it a finish when you're going in front of the committee and you're trying to, get those rights. I mean, obviously, it's really about dollars, but I think it helps.
Yeah, I have no problem with his salary because this is a TV show. And if you said this was Big Bang Theory, nobody complained when Jim Parsons got $100 million for being Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory. It gets a lot of eyeballs. It's 3 hours, 4 hours of entertainment. The other things that you use Romo for, that's fine. Seton, best and worst of the weekend.
Well, we've already hit these, but it's so good that I wanted to make it my best and worst anyway. James Harden absolutely laying the smackdown on Giannis was wonderful.
It was
wonderful.
We need more of that.
Oh, gosh, is it good. My worst, though, was Giannis's little, I just want to win games and go back to my family. He immediately killed all the leverage. You know what that reminded me of, actually? Do you remember when you were mean to Jake?
Oh.
And he goes, I'm just trying to have an opinion.
Jake in L.A., the Oracle.
Yeah.
He was like 11 at the time, and I was all pumped up because I'd been doing the show, and then I kind of like went back at him a little bit, and he goes, I was just trying to tell you my opinion.
I think the Celtics could really be the team to beat this year. I mean, they just look like a mess. And
Wait, Jake, don't overreact like this. You're better than that, right?
I'm just giving my opinion like I'm supposed to.
I know. Oh, no.
Jake,
No. That's it. I can't listen anymore.
Crushing the little guy's dreams.
Oh.
I'm just trying to give my opinion like I'm supposed to do.
And then I saw Jake, what was that, last year or the year before in L.A., he came out to Big Dean's in Santa Monica, and he walked up to me. He looks like he's about 6'2".
Yeah.
He goes, hey, how are you? And I go, good. He goes, I'm Jake in L.A. And I go, what the heck?
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
Yeah.
What?
I think he's going to school with Fritzy's son. I think they're both going to Syracuse.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Just trying to give my opinion.
I don't. Occasionally, we don't bring that soundbite back too often, but Dan was once really mean to Jake in LA, who was a regular caller of the show back in the day, and I don't even know how old he was. He was like 9 years old or something like that, and I can always tell that whenever we bring it up, Dan just really gives you a genuine, like, oh, come on, don't do this to me again, because it's just excruciating to hear that little voice. I'm just trying to give my opinion like I'm supposed to. Dan's going, oh, come on, you're better than that.
I want to take this moment here. I got some bad news on Friday night. A friend of mine, friend of the show, and really just a wonderful person, Maura Mandt, passed away. And she was the genius behind the ESPYs. She was a unbelievable worker. She was tough. She got things done and was a sweetheart. And she passed away suddenly, tragically on Friday night. And, the name doesn't mean anything to 99.9% of you, but she meant the world to me. She was just a great champion. She championed my cause. She was the reason why I went back to ESPN for the 40th anniversary. She said, do it. Do it for the people who watch you and Keith. You don't have to do it for ESPN. Do it for the people who care and care about you. And she just kept reiterating that. And then she was the reason why I did it. She brokered, if you want to say a deal, but there was no contract or anything. It was just, she was there for me. She was just a wonderful, wonderful person, and she'll be greatly missed because she did so many other things besides the ESPYs. But Maura Mandt, rest in peace. Back after this. I told the Ken Griffey story.
Oh, my God, yeah.
When he showed up at the ESPYs, he wanted to have all of his home runs edited together.
Put together.
Yes.
All of them.
And it's 500 and some, I think, at the time. He wanted it for his mom, and then he wanted a suit.
Well, yeah, that was at like midnight the night before the show. We weren't sure. The All-Star game was in town that weekend. So we had done, 3 days of trying to go get him to convince him to come. Went to the All-Star Cafe used to exist and went there. And, so I got a call at midnight the night before, and it was Ken Griffey Jr. who said, I need a suit. I don't have a suit. And I was like, okay. Does that mean I have to get your suit? And he's like, yeah, I need a suit. So I said, well, all right, let me call you back. So I didn't know what to do, so I called Howard Katz and woke him up and said,
Senior Management Mothership.
President, he was the president. I said, what do I do? Ken Griffey Jr. needs a suit. He's like, get him a suit. And I was like, all right. So I gave him my credit card, met him in the lobby of the hotel and was like, here's my credit card.
At night?
Yeah, that night. Go get a suit tomorrow. And he had a nice suit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Expensive one.
A very expensive one. I got the bill. There were some other things on the credit card that I wasn't prepared for. Restaurant visits, or should we say, entertainment clubs in New York.
Adult entertainment.
Maybe.
Wow. Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Maybe
Who
not.
knows?
It could have been McDonald's.
Our buddy Pat McAfee, the former Colts punter, I don't know if he was critical of the New Orleans Pelicans with the way that they introduced Zion Williamson. And so they invited him to be the public address announcer. So Pat McAfee took him up on the offer, and this is what it sounded like.
Has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable 6'6" phenom, Zion Williams.
That's Pat McAfee.
Dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years.
Might be his one and done there with Zion Williamson. Fritzy, what did you learn on today's program?
40-20 Greek Freak can do a bit more than just run up and down the court.
And dunk, yes. McLovin, what did you learn today?
Peter King says Redskins and Tua is not happening in a million years.
Yeah, it was broken by a Florida newspaper, not a Washington, D.C. newspaper. That's what I found interesting. That's why I thought maybe it's planted. Seton O'Connor.
The one hole in Giannis's game, trash talk.
And free throws, too, I think. Paulie?
His second to last year in the league, Tony Romo made $17 million as a starter.
Todd, what did I learn today?
Deion Sanders said at the Combine that it makes sense for Brady and Garoppolo to be traded for one another.
What we learned brought to you by Tecovas boots that are handmade full-grain leathers, world-class boot makers. Tecovas cuts out the middleman, sells directly to you at amazing prices. Shipping, returns, exchanges, free and easy. Visit Tecovas, TECOVAS.com/DP. Tecovas, Western goods for new frontiers. Talk to you tomorrow.